Support the people who support the show. Primary Arms, VZ Grips, 4Patriots.com, and Patriot Patch Company. Welcome to the AR-15 podcast. This show is for you if you just bought your first AR or if you've been building them for years. There is something we can all do to take our black rifles to the next level. My name is Nick Dooley, and that was the remix version of the intro because I fat-fingered the keys.
Things happen, but we're here. We're live. It's okay. It's another Thursday.
Yep. I am joined in with my co-host Garth, actually in studio once again.
In studio in Pierce, South Dakota, on one of the nippiest nights of the year so far.
Yeah, so far is the important part. It definitely is getting colder. And tonight we are joined by a very special guest. We have Cody from Genesis Arms. And if you don't know who that is, you'll figure it out pretty quick. They've made quite the splash this year.
A little bit. I know you and I got to shoot a few of their firearms this past June at GunCon, and we've been drooling over them ever since. And super excited to have Cody on with us tonight.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. It's an honor. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So, Cody, why don't you, before we get started here about Genesis, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we could start with the personal stuff, right? That's how you get to know them.
Yeah, exactly.
Before I ever lived a life working with Genesis and doing the sales side of things here, I was a police officer. So 9 years for my local police department. Before that, I did I was in the Marine Corps as a reconnaissance Marine, and I did some stateside contract work. But ultimately, I was, like a professional end user, I guess is what you could say, of most platforms. During my time in the Marine Corps, like I said, I was with reconnaissance, and that was during 2004 to 2008. It feels like yesterday, but it's been a minute since we were out in Iraq doing our thing. So.
I remember hauling like 1-1 in, out, back in, and out, and back in again. in the time I got to spend there in 2003 and 4.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, when you think about the times, you can still smell the smells and feel the sun when you're cooking out on the watch, and whatever the fob base you're sitting on, and 110 degrees and all your kit. It was a good time.
Oh, it was the best, worst time of my life.
Yeah, exactly. I got to meet great people and make some good connections back then. And obviously it's life experience and helps us evolve as to being better people as well. So, so I started there as my professional career, and then did some stateside contracting. A bunch of the recon guys, when we got out, we had a first sergeant start a company, and it was called, his company was STS, Security Tactical Solutions, and it was a training company that partnered with a company out of Alaska for EOD training. So all of us guys got together and helped EOD basically get some training through their FTX stuff, so scenario-based training. It was awesome. I really enjoyed that. It only lasted for a couple of years, and then Obama was getting reelected, and so I had to go find a new career path. So that's when I self-sponsored myself through the police academy, and I had actually no desire to be a police officer. It was kind of funny. I mean, as a kid, I always thought I might want to go do that. But ultimately what happened was I started talking to the guys as officers at the academy. And I was like, man, maybe these are guys that I actually see eye to eye with. They weren't, what the news was pushing out at the time was a bunch of, cops trying to steal everybody's rights and, wrongfully arrest people, wrongfully search people, and all that kind of stuff that the news pushes out. And that was both from Fox and CNN at the time. So
yep.
I'm always a guy that's like, let me go find out. Let me go see, do my own reconnaissance. And so I jumped into the academy to see, if they were teaching stuff that was weird up here in North Idaho, and nope, just teaching people to be good people and police their community properly. And so I ultimately ended up being recruited out of that and served 9 years and did everything from less lethal instructor to fitness instructor, taught at the police academy, did CQB, onboarded night vision for our SWAT team, was a SWAT team member, was a sniper for the team. I don't call myself a sniper by trade. I'm more of a designated marksman. I mean, when your maximum shot really training is 100 yards, it's not really sniping. So
you're saying I could be a police sniper.
Yeah. Now, I will say there are some police snipers out there that they train for the distance and they go through some really crazy stuff. And there's awesome courses out there to get the skills for that. But I never got to go through that cool stuff. I just get to watch it on IG now and dream about doing it. So
live vicariously through the gram, like so many of us do sometimes.
Very much so.
Absolutely. I truly enjoyed being a police officer. I loved being in service for my community. I was born and raised here in Coeur d'Alene, where Genesis is headquarters. So it was awesome to be a member at the police department of where I was born and raised and serve my community. It was a great honor, and I loved doing it. But ultimately, following the 2020 rules of put a mask on and that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
it was interesting. Idaho really was a non-participant. There was areas that, tried to enforce things over their population. We, as a police officer, we were told we're not going to enforce mask rules or quarantining or any of that kind of stuff. But ultimately, I was let go from as a police officer for not following an order. And the order I was ordered to follow was to put a mask on. And I just didn't do it. So they put me on administrative leave and I was let go. But during that time, prior to that, I'd been working. The word work is not the right word. I'd really been consulting with Genesis Arms. They needed someone in the industry of a professional use case to kind of help guide the direction of a breaching shotgun. And so I offered my services. Honestly, I did it for free. And just got to hang out with cool guys and play with one of the coolest, most innovative shotguns. I mean, that was really payment enough for me when I was working full time. And so I got to meet the guys and, build a relationship with them over several years. And then when the police department decided to fire me for not wanting to wear a mask, not agreeing, actually, the truth is not agreeing with the reasons as to why we need to wear one, and then just blatantly not following the order, they ultimately decided it was time for me to go someplace else for that insubordination. Genesis was like, hey, man, you have a place here. So literally not even 24 hours unemployed, I was picked up here and working full time. So, and I haven't looked back. It's been full speed ahead since that moment.
Well, if anybody didn't want to buy a Genesis Arms before, now they should. And God bless you for standing up like that, because if more people would have done that to begin with, things might not have turned out, because you need to have the courage of your convictions.
Yeah, 100%. Can't rest on our laurels. I was actually told by a really good friend of mine. He told me in the parking lot, he goes, just put it on. He goes, be the gray man. I said, gray men die. I said, I'm going to draw a line today. I said, they're going to do this, and then they're going to force you to stick something in your body that you don't want. I said, and then what's next? You're just stuck to a tree on a chain and you can't touch anybody. They take your kids. I said, how about we be red-blooded Americans for once? And we just draw right now, before there has to come to a pivotal point of conflict. Just don't comply right now. And he was like, just be a gray man. I said, I'm being gray. I'm making a line today. But I can be peaceful. So parted ways, and Genesis Arms really took off. It was shortly after that, I think that following January, we got to make the announcement, last year, that we were the John Wick shotgun, and we were featured in the film. And that was a long relationship that took, the grace of God to get us there and make introductions. It was a gentleman I met, actually one of my SWAT team buddies on the force. His neighbor happened to be friends with a BCM engineer who knew Taryn. And so I presented our shotgun to him just to say, hey, you're a BCM engineer. I love BCM rifles, but hey, what do you think of this shotgun? And he shot it and he was like, this is really cool. The next day, he's like, would you like an introduction to Taryn and see if you could, if there's any way that he likes it and maybe get in the John Wick film, I was like, if that's a possibility, we're all in. So that was quite a while ago. I don't even remember what year that is off the top of my head, but it was, even before I was working here full time. That's the relationship that I had. So
that's one of those, you don't even ask the question. You're just like, yes.
Yeah, exactly. So, Taryn obviously enjoyed the shotgun. He'd been looking for a mag-fed shotgun for a long time. And so we went back and forth on, the features that we needed for the movie. And then COVID hit, actually, and Hollywood shut down. And then the prop director that we were working with through Taryn ultimately got removed and a new one got put on. At least that's the story we're told. And that was Rock Galati. And ultimately he picked our 10.5-inch variation that we had come up with collaboratively with design. And ultimately, I mean, the Gen 12 is a Gen 12. I can't, we can't really modify what it is. The heart of it is, our standard Gen 12 SBMs and our John Wick version. Ultimately, the core of those things are the same. There are a few things. I will say the John Wick gun just has a finesse to it when you get behind it and shoot it. It's one of the smoothest shooting ones, and part of it has to do with the muzzle device that we have on it and some of the springs and stuff that we put in there, and then the trigger. And anyways, just a few of the accoutrements that we did just kind of give it that nice edge. But anyways, the feedback from that's been just phenomenal, and the PR has been great too. So.
Yeah, I know that, like Garth was saying, when we were at GunCon, we both shot it. My wife shot it. My wife was she was overshooting clays with it, with the 18-inch version. Yeah. And like shot it hit a couple of clays and then turns around and looks at me and she goes, "So when is ours coming?" Yeah. Actually, she goes, "When is mine coming?" Yeah. Like not I don't get to share with her.
Yeah, we a couple of years ago, we had a demo shoot that we did in June where we were using EOTechs on a trap range. And it was the first time any of us had shot any type of clay pigeon in the air with an EOTech. And I'll be honest, it was surprisingly easy to find the bird in the sky like that with the clay pigeon flying, especially on a trap when it's flying away or going up or down. You just figure out with that big 68-minute ring and the dot, just was the clay high or low based on the trajectory. And we had people, first time doing it, running 10 clays at a time. So,
yeah, it was definitely something else. And then we got to shoot I think we actually shot the John Wick one, the full auto one.
Oh yeah.
And
sorry, I'll bring it back.
Yeah. and that was the word I would use is surprisingly controllable.
Are you going to bring it back to me? Can you just wait an hour? No, I'm not. I need it right now. You might be 4 guns for SHOT Show. All right. Well, I'll bring it back. I can bring it up there after. Sorry, guys.
That's fine.
It's last minute scramble for SHOT Show, and I want to talk about what we have behind me here at some point. So.
No, that is fine. I was going to say shooting the full auto one was remarkably controllable for because most people have shot a 12 gauge, even a semi-auto, and that may have been that was the first time I had shot a 12 gauge that was fully automatic intentionally.
True.
Yeah. I have an old Browning A5 that is of the vintage that when it gets dirty, the firing pin will stick and it'll just slam fire everything in the tube.
Yes.
And that was one when you're out pheasant hunting, bang, 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 bang. Whoo, that I was not expecting that.
Yeah, no, it's funny you bring this up because I just had this conversation this morning with a gentleman. We're getting ready to go to an international show this year. So there's people internationally that I'm having some telephone conferences with, via Skype or whatever. And we were just talking about the recoil impulse of a standard like 870 or your traditional pump gun, or even, what you're normally used to regarding 12 gauge. And I shared this story with them. I also do part-time. I try to get out and do some instruction for firearms. And I do that through my buddy up north here in Naples. He has a range. It's called Veretz Tactical, but it's Vertac Firearms and Training. I've also done some stuff with Haley Strategic Partners as well. And, so when I can get away from my company, I try to go and give back to the community and give some training back from, my experience. And it's always good to get out and meet people in those courses because they're like us, they're just out there trying to better their life and, sharpen their edge. But anyways, this class was a mother and a daughter, and the lady gets up there. She has a 1022 and a Mossberg, like a Maverick or something like that. And she's like, these are my home defense guns. And so we show her ARs and whatnot, but we have to train her up on her stuff to let her get some familiarity because that's what she has. And then she'll work towards getting better tools down the road. So we get to the shotgun, show her how to use it, all that stuff. She shoulders the shotgun one round and she goes, I don't want to do that again. And I was like, what do you mean you don't want to do it again? She's like, that's completely unpleasant. I will never use that for self-defense. And so I said to her, I was like, and I was thinking to myself, it can't be that bad. That's what I was thinking. But I realized it's been 3-4 years since I shot a pump gun because I'm just shooting 10-12s all the time. So, I'm just thinking like, hey, I shoot 12 gauge all the time. It can't be that bad. So I was like, may I shoot it? I shot it. And I was like, okay, be right back. So I went out and I grabbed this. And at the time we were testing this gun here. This is our 7-inch. This is what we call our OG. So this is actually a prototype suppressor from Rex Silentium. And this is one of our very first select fire guns we ever built. So you can see here. And we have run this thing nonstop. I think this suppressor, it's easily got 10,000 rounds on it. Most of it bird shot because that's what we like to shoot full auto. So I brought this up to her and I said, okay, let's shoulder this up, grab the 10-round magazine, grabbed a 10-rounder, load this thing up for her. And she just started shooting from the shoulder. And she was like, I could do this all day. And I was like, really? And she's like, absolutely. Can I get another mag? And I was like, okay. So we loaded up her mag and she ripped through 20 rounds of her buckshot. And she was going, why can't my gun feel like that? And I was like, I don't know. So, we, like you got to shoot a full auto. We tell people all the time, our gun is as reliable as a pump gun and shoots very comfortable that you should expect from a nice quality shotgun like a Benelli or a Beretta. But there is no box fed magazine out there that's even close to what we're doing at all. And so when we make it full auto, we do that with purpose because it just shows the reliability over a day of shooting in the heat and just the reliability of the gun.
Mag-fed shotguns, I remember when they first I shouldn't say first came on the scene. Like, actually I do. I'm of the age, I remember $200 Segas when the Sega 12s were like brand new. It was, oh, we should get one of these. Like, I looked at it and I was like, I mean, I could grab one of those like crappy Russian shotguns. And then now looking back, I'm like, I should have bought a pallet because of what I could sell them for now.
Totally.
But that's neither. No, that was the first kind of mag fed that was somewhat successful. I remember I was at SHOT Show before we ever started doing this show. I was there for my business and walked up to the Remington booth because they had their the magazine fed 870.
Yeah.
And they were doing speed run testings with it.
Oh.
It was like, oh, you could do this and bang, 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 shoot at this target. And they were giving something away for the guy who could do it the fastest. And I'm like, all right. So I stand up there and they gave the tone to go. And I pull up and I fire the first shot and I come back and the mag falls out of the shotgun. And the guy looks at me and goes, what'd you do that for? Every time I hit it, they put the mag release, it was a paddle style, on the very front of the shotgun. And this Remington rep looks at me dead square in the eye and he goes, well, there must be something wrong with you because you're the only person that's ever happened to.
Oh, that's a great process. Yeah.
I was
highly unlikely, but
like, well, I mean, I do have ogre hands.
I get it, man. Common problem between us average sized people.
Exactly. Us normal sized humans, we go, yeah, you made this for a tiny person. And
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But going through the mag-fed stuff, that has always been the downfall of shotguns, is they're, Clint Smith talks about them, and we could go through all his lines. With the right load at the right distance, it removes people.
Yes, it does.
But reloading and stuff like that is why Garth hates shotguns and 3-gun.
Well, exactly. I never wanted to shoot 3-gun competition. I'm always a PCC guy. After I shot your guys' shotgun over at GunCon, I decided that, hey, as long as I had a Genesis in my arsenal, I would have no problem being a 3-gun, competitor, because going from an AR-223 to an AR-12 gauge.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm in. I'm sold.
Yeah, at TriggerCon, I made a bold challenge to Mike Pappas over at Dead Air.
Yeah.
He came by our booth and he was looking at our guns and he's like, I'm not a shotgun guy. And he goes, but this is a pretty cool shotgun. I said, I'll tell you what, you come out tomorrow and you shoot our gun, and you'll become a shotgun guy. I guarantee it. And he's like, because he's staunch, not into being a shotgunner, right? For the same reasons, that were just listed. And he came out and we shared it on one of our reels. And he's like, wow. He's like, you're not kidding. I was impressed. It cuts short of the video, but at the very end, he goes, I might be a shotgun guy now.
Yes. So that is awesome. Well, so we've tap danced around it a little bit when we've talked about it. It's okay. It's an AR style shotgun.
Yeah.
This is not some Turkish, this is, let's break down what the Genesis 12 is, or the Gen 12 is.
Let's do it. Yeah. So originally the Gen 12, I got a lower sitting right here. So the Gen 12 was always modeled to be after a DPMS style lower receiver. So this is our AR-10 DPMS clone, so to speak. There's AR-10s. They have a slant back here, but your controls, your safety, your mag release, your takedown pins, even the buffer system is what you would commonly find in a DPMS pattern. They call it a short buffer, and then it's the mil-spec AR-15 tube.
Yep.
We'll use adaptive stocks. These are awesome. You can see the nice recoil pad that these have. But like, for example, the John Wick version, it's got a BCM stock, and then we use a Kickies pad to help accommodate that. You don't necessarily need that stuff, but it does give a little bit of complement to it. Regular trigger packs, again, I just have these laying around, but this is one of our full auto lowers. We also do Hyperfire, is our standard trigger in all of our guns. So you get it's probably the nicest trigger that you get from any shotgun. Honestly, it's a like 4-ish pound trigger pull. It's great. So you get all the accommodations of that. Plus it's a magazine. So our magazines are unique and they're proprietary to us. So the nice thing about these is that they are form and function pretty close to like an AR-10. This one is a 308 mag from what is this? The Magpul SR25 magazine, or whatever it's called. Yeah. But we got some 8.6 ammo in there that's completely out of control. But you can see the width. It's relatively the same footprint that you would have for that. So that gives you the added benefit of running magazine pouches, that you have for AR-10s. You can use those for your Gen 12. We have the 10-round mags. We have the 5-round mags. A 5-round mag is a little more close in size to a 20-rounder, as you can see here.
Yep.
We have intentions of getting a 7-rounder out. It's going to be a happy medium between the 10 and the 5. When you go to do reloads, I think just a little bit longer, it's going to be better. Plus, you're not getting a lot of extra length on a 7-rounder. You can see the 5 is just a little bit here, so a 7 sits there, but you'll see a 10 manageable in performance, but it's a long boy. So if you're having to do, again, shotgun, it doesn't really matter, prone position shooting, I don't know, it's not common. But the thing is, and the reality of it is, it's built on an AR, so we want it to be more of a all-around, dare I say, fighting shotgun. For home protection.
And are you guys making those mags in house then?
Yeah, everything is, we hold the patents on it. We make them in-house. We're looking at onboarding some other solutions to help with production of that, just because it is a lot of effort to have that at the moment. And we don't want to get bogged down. So we're looking at some other options for expansion within that division. But currently, everything's made in-house. It's all American made, the plastic sourced here in America. Literally, the mold and the mold maker is just down the road from us, and we oversee all of that. So, but all the meg assembly happens right here in our facility. Yeah, so it's pretty epic. But our upper is the unique thing of the gun. We'll use a 10.5 I got here on the wall behind me to kind of talk about that. So this is our 10.5. This is hands down, it's our most popular option. We sell it as a other firearm. So currently on the website, you'll see it with a round buffer tube. So it's not designed to be shouldered, but it's a non-NFA item, and it comes just like this, where it's a round buffer tube and this 10.5-inch barrel. This is our SBM line. SBM stands for suppressor breacher model. You can see it's got a nice mean crown, so if you have to use it for a contact shot, you can. Put a little lip in here to help as a compensator. And these guys just thread off. It is a 1375 by 24 thread. Basically, that's like a hub compatibility. So this can thread off. And now you have what appears to be the muzzle. Now, it's not the muzzle. It just appears to be. Because our system is short recoil. The whole barrel system underneath here is moving independent of this.
Really?
So the barrel moves back. That's what creates the cycle of operation and gives us the reliability that the other systems fail to have, whether it's direct impingement or a piston system. The reason that that's so advantageous is it allows us to cut this barrel down, from a 10.5-inch down to a 7-inch barrel and not lose any performance in our function of the shotgun. You're going to lose some muzzle energy, obviously.
Yep, because just for having that shorter barrel for burn times and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But cutting back, so like as a gunsmith, I'm looking at it going, okay, so I can't help but think of other things that it might work like, and it doesn't work like anything else, because it's almost like the old Browning delayed, or the Browning longer stroke or short stroke where the barrel moved back.
Yeah.
Or like a Remington Model 8 where it moved inside the barrel shroud. But
correct. Yeah. Like a Barrett 50 cal.
Yep.
If I would have been better prepared, I would have had our AR-17, the Armalite 17, which is actually part of the inspiration from our gun. Eugene Stoner, while he worked at Armalite, he created the AR-17, which was like a 2-round trap gun. It's called the Golden Gun. It's all aluminum shotgun. The barrel's aluminum. It's just sexy looking. It's just all like a anodized clear with some plastic wood furniture, way ahead of its time. I think like 3,000 were made. But it's a short recoil operated shotgun. So what happened is when the founders of Genesis came together, they found that a 12-gauge shell, one of these bad bears fit inside the mag well, and they're like, and there's room to put a mag around it. Well, we can do that. Not realizing exactly how complicated that is. They just saw it and said, hey, maybe that's something we can do. I think we can do it. So they started going down that road. But then they said, well, how do we make this thing work? What is the cycle of operation? And so, as a company, to take 2 patents that Eugene Stoner's behind, the AR-10 and the AR-17, and you put those 2 things together, now you have a responsibility, right? Eugene Stoner is the godfather of modern weaponry.
Yeah. So you bring it into the world effective and right.
Yeah. And that's what he's known for. So if you're going to be inspired by him, you better do it right. So
come correct, as the kids of my generation said.
Yeah. So something that he would be proud to look at and possibly shoulder himself, right? So that's a big responsibility, something that we do pride ourselves on executing, and we bear that in mind as we work towards perfection in the system, which ultimately I believe we're like 99% there, right? Like everything has a little bit of tweak here and there. So
there's always room for improvement, because we've all seen how well Glock perfection works.
Yeah, exactly.
So mean.
Let's put a rail on it. No. So one note, just real quick, because everybody asks this all the time. They're like, can I put what upper can I put on this? And I'm like, no, the upper receiver is an assembly. We don't want people tearing it apart. We don't want you Glock smithing or AR smithing the upper receiver. This is proprietary technology. There is no armors out there. We run an armors course. We're getting that available. Cerakoters want to just tear apart our gun and put it back together how they feel necessary. There are no Cerakoters certified other than like Unknown Munitions, who is local to us. And we basically have an agreement with them that if they get a Gen 12, they bring it to us, we disassemble it, we give them back. And that's the relationship. Nobody else is doing that. We have relationship with Cerakoters in the country because, listen, you got to Gucci your stuff. I mean, come on, right? This is not a Gen 12, but I mean, you got to get a little Gucci.
That God's plaid.
Right? It looks sick, right? So that, if you want to do that, you do that at purchase. You get that done ahead of time. We send it out, we get it painted, we bring it back. If you have your guy that he does all of your guns, we'll send it to him, before we build it. So that way it's done right from the beginning and you don't have any headache down the road. But nonetheless, our gun is doing things that other shotgun companies can't do. Maybe they don't know how to do it, or maybe they just don't want to innovate about it. And one of those is our full auto. But ultimately, can I talk about just a couple other little fun things that I got?
Oh, by all means, yes, please.
Can we nerd out just for like 5 minutes about a couple things?
Oh, I am so ready to nerd out.
All right. So first thing first is this was a request for a breaching shotgun. So I jokingly have called this the key to the city.
I love that.
Yeah, it goes back for the GWAT campaigns, and we had a Ram, and we just called it the key to the city. So as we built a new breaching model to replace professional end users that were looking to replace their aging 870 MCSs, we needed to have something in form and function that's real close in size and weight. So we built a custom buffer tube. It's 4 inches in overall length, QD point here, so you can put that in your single point sling, stow it, and catch it. It's a perfect size for a 5-rounder. The 7-rounder is going to be a good accommodation to this. But we got guys using this professionally, running 10-round mags, which as a breacher, rolling up to a door and having 10 rounds on the first door entry is pretty awesome. So we took the top rail off so you don't have any cheese grater. Just makes it a little more comfortable for you to manage. And then we did a little fun guy here on the safety selector. We ran with a Geisley Posi Snap.
Oh,
I don't know if you've played with these at all, but for this setup, it was almost a necessity because it's a stowed weapon system on your body, and you're going to be transitioning between primaries and maybe other breaching tools or whatever the case is. So the Posi Snap has this nice feature that when it just gets bumped, it goes back into the safe position. So it takes a deliberate action to get it off of safe. So if you're having a kit, versus a regular traditional safety, sometimes even when you're running an AR-15 and you have it slung across your body, you got to constantly be checking that because it will come off.
Now, one thing about that is you hold that up for size. That is like the exact same size as an M26.
So this is 20 with this muzzle device, and we made a shorter one at the request of a professional user to make it 22 inches in overall length, but this measures 24. So this is a 24 inch.
I'm not sure if you ever used an M26.
No.
They're hot garbage. I shouldn't say that. They're very good at their one specific task, and they're terrible to shoot.
Oh.
So
is that the military like pump side shotgun?
Yeah, like the weird side pumping shotgun.
Yeah, I haven't got to play with one. I just call this my Han Solo pistol. And so I'm going to make a holster, and I'm going to present out, and I'm going to do some pistol training with it.
Oh yes, please, please
Maybe
do.
a 1 to 10 on it, some Star Wars theme. Somebody do that, please. It would be fun. So that's our breacher. The breaching industry is a fascinating space. We get to learn a bunch of stuff in that area. It is an unchanged platform for a long time. I mean, Remington 870 pretty much has dominated that, or the Mossberg equivalent, the 500. But ultimately, the Remington 870 and the MCS really dominated that workspace. An 870 was introduced in 1951 and relatively unchanged until current. So,
yeah.
You know, it's a due time that maybe we advance that space with a new tool. So, you know, we're glad to accommodate that for our end users. And one of the things that we ran across and why we've been pushing for, you know, suppressors and people to innovate really cool stuff. And this is a Montana company. I really like Rex Silentium.
Yep.
Like all their cans. They're affordable suppressors. I've run their 308, their 223s, beat the hell out of them. Even their current Seg 12 is a formidable shotgun can. It's a little heavy. It's about 2 inches in diameter. It holds up for the most part against everything. Full auto. You know, in our demos, I've blown out an end cap or two, but overall the structure of the can has been suitable. You know, JK Armitt came out with a suppressor as well. We've shot that quite a bit.
I believe that was what was on the one at GunCon. I think was a JK.
Actually, I think it was this OG.
Oh, was it the OG? Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
I'm going. I know I played with one somewhere, but things start to blend together after a while.
Yeah, absolutely. But what we found is shotgun ammo is wild, right? I mean, I have tested ammo that weighs 2.5 ounces and it's made of tungsten.
Ooh.
I've shot ammo that shoots at distance to breach a door, right? And, you know, there's just a variety of ammo that the military has. You Google it, they got grenades that shoot out of 12 gauges. And, you know, there's flechette rounds, there's buckshot, there's this number, that number, there's low brass, there's high brass. Even in slugs, you have a variety of factors that go into that as well.
Rifled slug versus sabot slugs versus...
Yeah, so there's no real standard, and then there's even the really eclectic and exotic stuff. Like we got some ammo in, and it was a doozy. It's like a barbell round. I mean, we shot that into watermelons. It sent those things goodbye. And
well, then there's even like when you get into 2 3/4, if you get European spec ammo versus American, because they don't use the star crimp, they use the. And I've had some buckshot that had that before. That was so I was like, this is not the same size. What is this? It's
you know, that's a good observation. You know, people were spoiled in center fire cartridges, you know, shotgun shells. And I was that guy. I was never a shotgun person. I've become a shotgun person. But you know, shot shells, you're right. The crimp and how that is depends wholly on how the performance of the round is. You can have a lot of ammo and have each round feel a little bit different based on just the crimp. So the consistency of the crimp, the consistency of the base wad, the gas seals, all of those things factor into having a reliable ammo to feed a gun. And when you're building a gun, I'm going to tell you, it's very frustrating when they're so inconsistent across the board. But we made it a point to use Walmart ammo. And so we got the most inconsistent ammo and made that stuff work the best we could. So
that was it takes. I mean, this gun will basically eat anything and everything because you guys have tested a variety of everything. So
yeah,
that's nice to hear. A lot of companies, they're very specific on what ammunition you should use, and it really takes away from any user of what they want to do. Because I mean, some people are cheap when it comes to shooting guns. They might want to go out and buy the expensive firearm, but they don't take the time and effort to put into the ammunition. And that really makes a huge difference. So when you guys say you've tested everything from the crap to the good,
yep,
that's fantastic.
Yeah, that's our drive, you know, for success. If we can do that, then there's not a lot it can't do. And what's crazy is because of the short recoil system, we really self-regulate the gas system. So we'll shoot everything from a Magnum 1,600 feet per second all the way down to 1150s birdshot. So
that is awesome, and it's like I have before talked about it, and other people have heard me say talking about shotguns. When you do that, you know, like a Skittles mag, for lack of a better term, where you throw in like, hey, I'm going to put in some low brass, light load powder puff, trap loads. Okay, do that, then a buckshot, then a slug, then 6, then turkey load. And I've only seen probably 2 or 3 semi-auto shotguns that can just eat all of that in one mag and keep running.
Yep.
And that is always a feat to be able to accomplish.
Yeah, we call it candy caning. So we do it often, and we've all of our testing early on was always never do one box of ammo. It was always grab a bunch of different ones. So.
Yep.
So what we've done now is commercial market, they're our bread and butter. We love the commercial market. We don't want to restrict what we sell to them. We want to offer everything that we ever make to them. We also, the 10.5 inch, either whether it's a firearm or an SBS, we have our 7-inch. Again, that the 7-inch is a unique one. When you go underneath 18-inch barrel, and you go underneath 26 inches, there's no pistol. So I can't put a brace on a 7-inch barrel. That makes it an AOW by technical specs, or the ATF doesn't like that. So then they're not going to, maybe they'll call it an SBS. Who knows? So we've never done a brace on a 7-inch. We've only done it as an SBS. And then obviously the breacher that I showed you is any other weapon, because it's not designed to be shouldered. Use 2 hands to be manipulated.
So that has an odd cover on that buffer, so you kind of can't put a.
Correct. You can't even really put a brace on it. But the cool thing is $5 stamp. So you get the key to the city. It's $5 extra, and you can put that thing right at shotgun, and then pull your Han Solo pistol out and do some work.
I like it.
Yeah.
Let's turn a Loudenser for the front of it. Like, let's make the bell to go on the front.
Yeah. Yeah, the little trumpet looking thing. I'm down.
Yeah.
I think we'll make it happen. We'll have to do a Star Wars sleeve on it. It's been on my bucket list for a minute since we started messing around with it. So playing with suppressors and playing with small shotguns that work well. One of the things with the suppressor, the 7-inch gun here, in the early days, I started doing accuracy testing, and we went out to 100 yards, and I was able to get consistent slug shots on a silhouette with that configuration at 100 yards. And it really got us all thinking, like, what is a 7-inch barrel really capable of? We don't know. I mean, there's really been untapped market space for that. So we also started doing buckshot testing, and with the suppressor, it didn't matter whether it was the Rex Silentium Seg 12, the JK Armament, SGX line, or any other suppressors that we've tested, whether they're prototypes or R&D stuff. We've all found that, you get a little bit more feet per second, you get better distance and greater accuracy. And then the little caveat was our patterns started to tighten up. So we actually started getting patterns that were consistent with either 18-inch guns or choked guns. So,
no, that is even better.
Yeah. So this year at SHOT Show, we're going to be debuting a professional shotgun. And I know I just got done telling everybody, we really care about our commercial market. And I'm telling you that we're going to make every effort to get this, what I'm about to share with you guys, to the market. But ultimately what we have is a professional use case can, and that's what our initial emphasis is. And the partly to this is that, it's a 2-party effort, and one party isn't ready to bring it to the forefront and bring it out to the commercial market. So at SHOT Show, I think I'm going to reserve who that is at the moment, but you guys, you'll figure it out pretty soon over the next coming weeks.
Yep.
But we're really excited about it. And I want to share some data with you guys that I've collected over the last, at least 3-4 months.
Please. Cause I will nerd out on data. So that's like, you're speaking my language while you're pulling up that data. I see the other thing about those look like the standard, Gen 1 of the DPMS platform. So the handiest thing about the Gen 1s is those make great hosts for VZ grips. And VZ grips are great because they have a unique feature of the AR grips, is they're machined from a solid block of G10, which is great because it's durable and doesn't get slippery when covered with mud, blood, or sweat. The 17-degree grip angle and wide variety of textures from mild to extreme, along with the extreme customizable options available. 1911 grips with standard slim palm swell, safety notches, bottom cuts, and more. More than 25 textures and 27 colors are available, and the coupon code good for 25 or 15% off of all. 15% off of all handgun and rifle grips is AR-15 podcast.
Bonus.
Yeah.
So we wanted to go in and change the game. So we did something as a joke, be honest. but also as an option, if it worked, to shorten the overall length from the 7-inch barrel to a 5-inch barrel. Now, I just want you to think about what a 5-inch barrel is, okay? If a shell is 2 3/4, 5 inches is not a whole lot. So 5 inches is to my finger there. That's literally all there is for barrel.
Wow.
So,
Yeah,
I mean, you're talking basically the length of the shell is what, yeah, that's what I'm saying. There you go. That's what we're talking about in a 12 gauge. So I have right here one of our 5-inch guns that we built. So this is a 5-inch barrel. It's only enough room for one M-lock on there. This has a little rail scales vertical grip to give you a little standoff because it's short. So the vertical grip actually feels better than trying to grab it around.
Yeah.
Yep.
You almost naturally wanted to grab the magwell, which I try not to. I try to hold the muzzle just to keep it down under firing. But this
I'm a GWAT baby. I get it.
Yeah. This whole gun is only 25 1/4 inches. So that is 25 1/4 inches. So it's just over 2 feet. This gun has blown me away. I honestly don't even know what to say. So breaching, it's awesome. So what we did is, if you look right above me, that gun is 25 inches in overall length, and that has a suppressor on it. So let's grab this guy and show everybody
So that is a PDW stock on the so I'm just guessing that either has a proprietary buffer system or it's built into the recess of the bolt.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we did. So it's recessed in, the buffer spring and the buffer is inside. Exactly. But now you have you got a DPMS style lower receiver. And remember what he talked about. Our upper receiver is proprietary, not the lower. So we're launching a whole 308 series upper receiver this year. That's actually what's built on this camo gun here. That's our 308 upper. And later in this year, probably Q2, we'll have those uppers available. So guys are going to be able to build 308s with a PDW stock.
Oh.
It's never happened, right? So this is the first stock that's going to be suitable for the 308 market.
Stupid giggles happy. I'm yes.
You know, we built one on a 8.6, which we showed at TriggerCon. And there's a video somewhere in the YouTube world that you can go follow and find that. But we built an 8.6 barreled 308 upper, so it's 8.6 blackout, 8-inch barrel. The gun is amazing, shoots super good, and we outfitted it with our PDW stock. So when we went to get this designed, we needed it to work for breaching, and that was the main focus. So needed to stay closed under firing. So when you're breaching and you get on the system and you breach a door, it doesn't start opening up, right? We don't want that. So that means we had to delete the rip stop or the rip pull design, but that's fine. It's got 2 positions, okay? Closed and open. So all you have to do is push the button and pull the stock out, and now it's locked in position. So honestly, if you can't figure it out, it probably isn't for you. But you know, it's just the way it's going to run. So we have the PDW stock, we have a 5-inch barrel, and we have this suppressor, which we've been testing for a couple months now. This gun, we've run this fully auto. We've shot buckshot. We've shot everything out of this thing. Slugs. I even did a 100-yard accuracy test with this.
Okay. 100-yard accuracy, 5-inch barrel, PDW stock, 12 gauge.
Yeah.
That is a string of words I never thought I would say.
Likewise, because when we developed this whole concept of having a compact suppressed breacher, the idea was never to do buckshot or slugs or anything, but we just decided to do it to see where it went. And all of a sudden, when we're shooting buckshot out of the system, we're getting patterns that are consistent of a 10.5.
Wow.
And I was going, wait a minute, this is defying what I understand to be what it's designed for. You know, ultimately, just to kind of give some history on this concept of, there's never been a suppressed breaching shotgun. There's been suppressors that can be used for breaching. You know, Salvo put out their breaching tip, or Silencer could put out the Salvo breaching tip, and other people have done it. But when has there ever been a good host for a suppressed shotgun, like the shotgun to be suppressed? It's, you know, you're going to be a 10-inch barrel at the shortest, right? And then reliability starts to become an issue. So we built it to build the smallest overall package. And we've, like I said, this thing runs just as good as all of our other guns. It's just as reliable in performance. In fact, I was running 22422 drills with the 5-inch gun with this guy suppressed just the other day, which is crazy. When you're running 22422, which if you don't know what that is, it's 2 rounds, 2 rounds, 4 rounds, 2 rounds, 2 rounds. And it's just a sewing machine. And it's ridiculous. You know, when you get done and you look and you got 1-inch holes all over the target, you know, in that Coke bottle, you're putting out some serious stopping power in a very short period of time.
Yeah, I had my first CQB instructor would have been like, "That's laying hate."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, you know, shotgun breaching and just shotguns in general, if you measure the pressures at the muzzle, it's very high. So you start cutting barrels short. You know, traumatic brain injury and hearing loss are factors that, you know, the RVA is putting out all sorts of reports out of Johns Hopkins and different studies about, you know, hearing loss and traumatic brain injury. And they're doing sensors all over the military right now, testing, you know, the pressures on the user from muzzles. So whether it's a 5.56 or the 240 SAW or whatever, the technicals, whatever, tanks, all of it, everything's getting measured. Artillery. Well, what they are finding is that shotgun breaching has a higher probability of creating TBI or some type of hearing damage based on the pressures that you experience. I also think it has to do with how a breaching tool is utilized. If you think about it, you're against a fixed wall and you're shooting at point blank. And generally speaking, you know, you're
right in front of your face.
Yeah, you have holes out the sides of these on most traditional breaching shotguns. Yep. And now that energy against a flat surface is hitting that and ricocheting back against the shooter, which is why we do this style, so it shoots it into the door.
Yep. Well, that makes sense. And then also they're so known for being in not confined spaces because, you know, it's not like you breach anywhere that's, you know, not close to you.
Exactly. You're going to be on a stairwell with an overhang. You know, if you're in apartment complexes, you know, if you're working city work, you know, you got concrete 3/4 walls. I mean, you name it.
The worst situation possible.
Yeah. And then you're running a pump gun with 3 rounds, and then, you know, the door doesn't breach. Now you got to reload. You're dropping rounds. You're putting new rounds in. You know, so delete all that. Go mag fed. Get this thing ripping in 5-10 rounds. And if there's work on the other side of the door, you can still use it in that application. So that was that's the drive.
I was gonna say that was actually what I was gonna say is, you know, like you talk about, oh, you're using 3 shots, and I know that traditionally you only need 3. I have seen a door that needed 5 breach shots to take, and you could still have some room to work.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's funny. I just did a demo for LAPD with our breaching shotgun, and they shared a story about how they were on a second story. They had to breach. It was a HRT call, and this is quite a few years ago, so I'm not even sure how long ago it was, but they breached the exterior door. They fired 2 rounds. 3rd round did not breach. So he peels out of the way and he starts thumb loading up on the railing, and he drops around, loads around, drops around, loads the last one, goes back. They had ripped open the door, and there's another door. So, you know, he's like, are you kidding me? So he gets up to that door, and they're using 725 grain frangible breaching rounds. Yep. I don't know. It will go through the door. It seems, I mean, that's a heavy projectile, but it is a breaching round, but it's designed to pretty much go through anything. And anyways,
probably the solid copper center or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a compressed copper round, which is a frangible round, but it's 725 grains. It's rowdy. But they get to that door, and he does 3 more rounds, and it doesn't breach the door. And he literally said, if I would have had 10 rounds, he goes, I could have got through the first door and the second door. It would have been no problem. So, to that case, that's the first time this is a possibility. We've done another demo. This is a forward-thinking team, in my opinion. It's for a state level SWAT team. They actually want to go to a shoulder-fired suppressed system, and that's what they're exploring. They're open to the idea of just ditching their carbine, going to a shoulder-fired shotgun, run more rounds on the shotgun, and then have those as reloads. You got 10 rounds to breach a door, and if there's a deadly threat inside, I think a frangible round would do it just fine.
I really do as well. I will say all this shotgun talk. I do have one dream shotgun I will get someday.
Yeah, what's that?
The Ithaca Roadblocker 10.
Yeah, it's a classic.
Which goes into just a weird thing because they figured 10 gauge slugs could stop cars.
Yeah.
And but other than that, my actual next shotgun purchase, I think I've just figured out. And but there is one problem right now with ordering a Genesis 12 or a Gen 12.
Yeah, what's that?
Estimated shipping time of 33 weeks.
Yeah. Illuminati confirmed. But yeah, listen, it doesn't matter as much as we try to shorten that. It just doesn't seem like we produce more guns every day, and I can't change our lead time. So we better just get the order in.
I am not upset by that. I'm just more doing the, hey guys, when this comes out and when everyone's listening and you go, okay, this sounds awesome. This company is building a Nephilim killer. And, which if you've seen what's happening in, Miami and Brazil, you might need that.
Yeah.
And it's, pick one of those up. But, 33 weeks is a quite a lengthy lead time, which we understand. But I think it's worth it.
I know I haven't decided which one I'm going to get, but Nick and I have been talking ever since June about which Genesis we're going to take home. And I think after tonight, Nick has a much better understanding of what he's going to do. And his needs are much greater than my needs. So I think I just want to have one of these bad boys for pheasant hunting and 3-gun competition. But I foresee Nick's ideas going up above and beyond that.
Well, let's talk about some of the results I got with this 5-inch gun, because let's say I'm going to try using this present feature here. Let me see if I can do this appropriately. Share screen. Let's see. Is it going to show both of my screens? Let's see.
You should be able to select.
All right, perfect. Looks like I can share this guy. Let's do this. All right, is my screen on there for you guys?
Sure is.
Yes,
Okay.
It is.
So what we have here is a 5-yard distance with a Winchester 9-pellet double-aught buck. So we got 9 pellets at 5 yards, measures
The standard.
Yeah, 5.5 or so inches. I did it with a tape just to confirm because your phone app thing, but it's right around 5.5 inches. This is with a 10.5-inch barreled shotgun. So our 10.5-inch, that's what you would expect. Then we go to our 10.5-inch, our 5-inch with the same ammo, without a suppressor, at the same distance, 5 yards. And you got a 12-inch spread. Even this vertical from here to here was also 12 inches. So you got a full 12-inch spread, which you would expect out of a 5-inch gun.
Yeah, a room broom.
Yep.
Exactly. But what I did not expect was this. That was following adding
With the can.
We reduced it by a 1/2 inch, but you'll also notice the pattern is more uniform.
Yep.
If you look at
So here's one of the things that I will help nerd out on that might be able to help explain why that is.
Yeah.
So I've played with this a lot or played with suppressors a lot and looked at a lot of things. And one of the benefits of suppressors is they always give you a perfect target crown as it comes out, because when you start controlling those gases, as the gases exit the muzzle, they can affect the trajectory, especially of a shotgun with the wad. So as it has that spot to get behind, and you have a little bit of what is known as free bore boost, where it still has pressure behind it, but it's building up and losing it in that volume, it will actually allow everything to center up and punch out a little bit better.
How cool is that?
Yeah, that is awesome, and that is probably the best picture I could see of it. Like to show exactly what that represents.
Yeah, and I just if I would have been a betting man walking into the arena thinking, okay, I got a 10.5-inch gun and I compare it to this is not what I expected,
At all. No.
This is what I expected. This is understandable. Yeah. Now it's a breaching shotgun only, because you go to 25 yards, you'll be lucky to get 2 pellets on the target. But what we found is shooting the 5-inch barreled with the suppressor out at 25 yards, I consistently get more pellets on a silhouette than I do with a standard 10-inch. So, and I look forward to getting more testing done. I mean, all of my testing has been focused around a 5-inch barrel at this point, or a 7-inch. So at some point, we'll get some suppressor on the 10.5-inch and do some comparative data there. But I will say this. We did comparative data between the 5 and the 7, and there's zero difference. In fact, the 5 consistently had a little bit better patterning and
than the 7.
Than the 7. And again, it might be a barrel thing. It might be a harmonics thing. We're not entirely sure. So this is I got one more.
Listener Vince says he wants one for deer hunting.
Get it, buddy. I'm in with you on this. Why not, right? Why not?
Yeah.
So I'll tell a story on this one. I had mentioned doing 100-yard zero, and 100-yard group. And so I was down in Meridian, Boise, Idaho, over the holiday, and I had to get this done. So I was out there with my family. So I called in to Independent Shooting Range down there, and I said, hey, you guys offered if I needed to get in before hours to do some testing, it would be available. Now, mind you, we're not in Boise. It's about an 8-hour drive between the two of us. I just happened to be there visiting my family. My brother lives down there. So family and everybody, kids got to swim in the pool every day. It was a good time.
Well,
so he said, absolutely. What are you shooting? I told him, I said, I'm going to shoot 100 yards with a 5-inch barreled shotgun. He goes, wow, well, that should be fun. So
you had an audience.
Yeah. So we got set up, got it out there. I started with a 30-yard zero to make sure I'm going to hit paper. I went 30, 50, 60, 75. And then I was like, okay, I keep hitting the paper. I'm pretty consistent within the same region. Let's just get it down to 100 yards. So I get out to 100 yards and I fire the first round, and I'm shooting an EOTech, EXPS3-1, which if you haven't used that and you're not running it on your carbine, you got to get one. It's a single 1 MOA dot. The ring is deleted. For precision work, it's awesome as a reflex sight. It's a true 1 MOA dot. There's nobody else out there really doing that other than an RMR 1 MOA. So I don't know if I hit it. I draw it back. My zero is a little bit to the left. So I send it back down. I make an adjustment. I'm just going to make sure I hit it again. I hold in a different area of the target, send another one. I almost hit the bullseye. And so I brought it back, checked it, send it back down. So then I decide I'm going to shoot my group. So this is what I shot. So you can see here on the target, there's my first impact. And I was holding somewhere in this area here. It's kind of hard at 100 yards, and plus I'm 40 with astigmatism. So, get after it.
I feel your pain.
Yeah. So, and then I send it back down. I held pretty low on the silhouette, kind of this area down here. And I was far on this edge over here. And I hit right here. So I'm like, okay, if I just hold maybe like right here where this white and black line is, and I can get my dot to hold right there and have a consistent spot, I know I'll be on the silhouette, I'll be on the paper and see what I pattern. So a rifled slug is roughly 1 inch. So there's 1, 2, 3 rounds. That's what I fired. It's your 5-inch group.
Yeah, that is amazing for like any shotgun.
Yeah.
Let alone a 5-inch.
Yeah. So we were shooting the Federal low recoil rifled slugs. They're 1,300 feet per second. We were measuring somewhere around 1060 out of the gun. So, and I tried to be consistently, patient with the trigger shots, hold it back, pin it, take a deep breath, let it reset, really focusing on trying to be as consistent with the hold spot to do as best as I could. Cause this was the last minute I had to get this done. So, we look forward to, repeating this and letting other people do this as well. But out of the box, it shocked us and it shocked me. I was like, I was thinking 22, 24-inch group would be suitable, but this really changes the capability of a platform in a package that's this big, 25 inches designed for breaching, but now has the capability of patterning like a better than a 10-inch barrel and has the distance capability of at least 100 yards for precision.
Yeah. Well, now you're talking about something like you'd said where you were looking at just a breacher before and now you're moving on to like a major PDW or, whatever you want to call it.
Yes.
Like that is
totally.
That is where it's at.
I'm gonna pull up one more photo. I didn't have this one prepared, but I don't know if I can present. Let me try sharing one more thing. So we got one more big announcement, and I'm glad to share this with the crew. I'm gonna move this screen real quick if it will let me. Let's see. All right, this is what I will share. So I'll share my entire screen here. So this is our new 15 round.
Yes. All the yes.
All the yeses. Yep.
So if you go to we just launched our brand new website today. It just happened to coincide with us getting to hang out. But the drum we're very excited about. It's 15 rounds. We have done probably close to 2,000 rounds on a 3D printed drum. We're confident that, and that's fully automatic. We've done birdshot, buckshot, slugs. We've shot a variety of ammo through it, both low brass, high brass. It meets the standard of performance in a 3D print. At this point, the wear factor is the only issue that we had. So we had to replace the tower on it a couple times, but the spring tension, the rate of the feed rate, all of that is dialed in. We're going to mold, and we are fully anticipating this into the commercial market, probably summertime, hopefully sooner. But if people go to our website, as soon as I get an actual hard time that we'll be able to start delivering these to the customers, we'll be able to put it up for pre-order and get it out there. But that's going to change the game. Yeah, it's and as you can see, it's not that big. That's the 5-inch barrel. So that's the gun that's behind me. You can see it's not that big. So it's roughly the size of a D50, the Magpul 308 drum.
That's what it looked like at first to me.
So here, I'm going to sneaky peeky one more thing, maybe. One more little fun thing for you guys. So here's a...
that looks familiar.
Who doesn't like that?
Yeah.
I enjoyed it in June. I enjoy watching that video. I can't wait to maybe see you guys at a SHOT Show Range Day. Are you guys going to be there so we can maybe test a few more things out?
So we won't be at Media Day.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah, sorry about that. We, if you guys want, I don't know if you have any occupational, obligations on Tuesday night, but we are teaming up with Agency Arms at their Burn Pit event. And if you haven't been to it, it's a hell of a time out at Vegas Pro Gun Club.
Yeah, we'll be there. So
okay. Yeah, we'll get you on their RSVP. Okay.
Perfect. All right. So Cody, where can they find you guys? Genesis Arms. Where can they find all that at?
Yeah. Hey, the best way to follow our social, we are on Facebook. The majority of our efforts are through Instagram, just based on my attention span and others. That's kind of where we end up posting the most of the cool stuff.
I understand.
Yeah. Squirrel.
So, we have a YouTube channel as well. We are going to be making a very bold effort to get more informational videos out on, the products and the use and kind of, just the more technical application of things for the products that we have and kind of the nuances between different models. So that's all going to be coming through our YouTube channel. So make sure you guys find us on there, subscribe and follow us there. And then obviously the website is the cornerstone of our operation. And we do have a phone number on the website. So if you have to call us, we will do our best to answer, but I'll be honest, our phone line constantly goes all day. So we do our best, but our people love to talk about shotguns, and so do we. So it gets long-winded.
Oh, that is awesome. Garth, you got anything to add before we sign off?
No, I am so stoked to actually, see you guys again at SHOT Show, and we'll hang out. We'll talk all things shotgun. I am super excited, to probably start looking on the website and putting my order together because, damn it, I want one.
Exactly. And we will have that coming. So good if you want to hang out for just a second. You folks out there, you stay safe and stay armed. Support the people who support the show. Primary Arms, VZ Grips, 4Patriots.com, and Patriot Patch Company. Be sure to check us out on social media. AR-15 Podcast 2.0 on Instagram. AR-15 Podcast 2.0 on YouTube. AR-15 Podcast 2 on Twitter. AR-15 Podcast on Facebook and wherever podcasts are found. If you just want to drop us a line, let us know how we're doing, or give us a show idea. Make sure to send that email to AR-15podcast 2.0 @gmail.com.